Hey, what's going on, y'all? Eric Moser here with Covert Conversations. Thanks for joining me. Man, the irony never stops. In today's video, we're going to be talking about an Atlanta mayoral candidate who pushed for defunding the police, but then he ended up getting his car stolen. He ended up getting carjacked in broad daylight by a bunch of kids. You really can't make this stuff up. Every day, it seems, especially lately, the Lord keeps revealing truth to these people. He keeps revealing the foolishness of man on a daily basis. And I really hope that with all this going on, that folks really start paying attention and seeing the folly of some of our so-called leaders out there, political leaders. If you appreciate content that helps you better understand a police use of force and all things related to policing, in particularly the modern concept of reimagining policing, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my future content. Let's see how this all went down. On a side note, totally unrelated, doesn't this white guy look like a black man trying to pass for white by wearing a bunch of makeup, like kind of like when Eddie Murphy in the old Saturday Night Live skit when he played a white dude? He don't look like, it looks like he just got too much makeup on. But that had me cracking up earlier. I just wanted to throw that out there. But let's get into the content.
Was out of his car meeting with community leaders when he says a group of very young thieves jumped in his car and took off.
Fox 5's Patty Pan spoke to the councilman. She joins us now live tonight with more. Patty, what did he tell you?
Yeah, you know, the councilman tells us that police actually have found his car, but really we don't have any other details than that. Now, the councilman also said he never saw it coming. He tells us he was literally 3 or 4 feet away from his car when he believes what appeared to be 4 young children, he says no more than 11 or 12 years old, got into his car. But really what's most shocking is he believes that one of the children was no more than 6 or 7 years old. And at the time he saw them, he says they were holding a toy.
No, I really don't mean to laugh because it's really not funny in the big scheme of things, but it's just so crazy how what's happening. Like, seriously, these dudes, and before you go, once this video clip is over, I'm going to show another video clip where he goes into detail about how he feels about policing. So stay tuned for that once I get done with this segment. But it's just so nuts how so many people, how all of this truth is just being brought to light. The folly of the concept of defunding the police. It is not working anywhere. It has been enforced anywhere.
There was no care for loss of life and for themselves or myself.
Atlanta councilman and mayoral candidate Antonio Brown says what happened to him in his district in the Dixie Hills community in Northwest Atlanta is a perfect example of what is happening to our youth and why we as a society need to step up and help. Councilman Brown tells Fox 5 4 young children stole his white Mercedes coupe just before noon Wednesday. And at the time, he was standing just a few feet away, speaking with community leader Ben Norman.
My man said he was standing like 3 feet away when these kids bum rushed him, snagged his car, drove off, and I hear he got dragged down the street. But that's what's out there, and it's crazy. So many people, it seems like they're oblivious to the reality of violent crime, to what's really going on in these communities and these neighborhoods. Because it's usually the folks who aren't living in the hood, who don't really have to put up with the nonsense, who don't have to deal with the increase in crime, who are pushing to abolish or defund the police. Because I know my man ain't living in the hood. Or I'll say this much, I highly doubt it.
One kid was in the driver's seat. Ben attempted to open the door to get him out of the car. He fought with Ben. I had then engaged and tried to get him out of the car. The 3 other kids were trying to figure out to get in the car or stay out of the car. He started to hit on the gas. Ben let go and then the kid started to drag me in the car a half of a block.
Officers were called to Verbena Street in Northwest Atlanta. According to Councilman Brown, he turned off his car, which has a keyless start, got out of the car, and was standing nearby when he says he noticed 4 young children, no more than 11 or 12 years old, the youngest possibly 6 or 7, walking around a nearby store, and within seconds, they were in his car.
One of them jumped in on the passenger side, hopped over real quick, and started the car up. It's one of those keyless cars where you just push the button. And, quickly, we try to go there and we're going to maybe try to get the kid out of the car or something, but like, what do you do to a kid, right?
Right.
It's like, so and he'd already started, figured out, they had plans.
You snatch him up and you check his behind and you hold him until the police gets there. That's what you do to a kid. That's what you do to a kid who doesn't know how to act.
They knew what they were going to do. Just hit the gas and he peeled out, and took off.
Generational poverty has gone on long enough. It's time that we start addressing the root of this problem, because there's no amount of officers you're going to put on the streets in Atlanta that could have stopped this from happening.
And here's another issue when it comes to the mindset. If the cops are patrolling these areas, being proactive with their police encounters, proactively seeking out troublemakers, it does reduce crime. That's real. It does. The presence of officers. But once again, when you advocate for police officers losing their position, less cops on the street, that's what happens when you defund. When cops aren't motivated to patrol and to put themselves out there because you have a culture that acts as if it hates police, this is what you get. This is exactly what you get. And my man needs to know that.
Now, again, Atlanta police still investigating this case. No word yet, rather, if anyone has been arrested. But coming up at 6, find out what Councilman Brown wants to happen or not happen to these kids if and when they're caught.
I can only imagine what he wants. To be fair, here's a good segment of what he stands for when it comes to policing and all that kind of stuff. So check it out.
I'm also watching down the street talking about no justice, no peace.
So you're basically setting the bar, in my opinion.
So he's already marching down the street screaming no justice, no peace. An elected official. Keep that in mind.
At the protest, what are some of the things that you want to be heard? And also, you're obviously very powerful with your speech because you managed to get a very popular rapper to attend a protest, or this little baby who was there at a past protest with you. What are some of the things that you want to be heard by your protest movement?
An injustice against one of us is an injustice against us all.
Are you noticing the, let me see if I can scroll down. Well, you can't really see it much better. But are you noticing the Black Lives Matter t-shirt? That should let you know what's going on. Or he could be one of those ones that's really kind of ignorant as to what they stand for. You would hope that he's done his research, but I could be wrong.
I think that stands alone as, for me, it's what our country is moving into. As the consciousness in the world begins to shift, people are waking up to the realities of the world that we've been living in and the world that they want to choose to live in.
Thank you. And we see a lot of calls to defund the police. Tell us your stance on that.
So I think the messaging of defunding the police has been really difficult for elected officials to understand. They've taken it from a literal basis when what is truly being asked for by the people is to reallocate funding, to reimagine public safety, and create programs that are a reflection of the needs within the community.
Now, what does that even mean? I've heard that repeated time and time again, but I have yet to hear anyone truly go into detail. Now, there may be some ideas out there that I just haven't heard, but I've yet to hear anyone really explain what this whole reimagining policing and reflecting the values and desires of the community mean. Someone help me out, because I think it's just a bunch of rhetoric and it sounds good because they want to say that it's not defunding the police, but at the same time, they're asking for money to be taken away from law enforcement. And as a result of that, you'll get less cops on the streets, you'll get less training, and all that will result from it are more problems. That's all you'll get from it, as we are seeing across the nation.
And council members are using the rhetoric of defunding the police as a way to say that we are trying to disembody the entire police force and that we don't want to have police.
Okay, here, listen to what he says. He says people are using this as rhetoric to say that they're trying to disembody the entire police force. So just pay attention to that and hold that in your head for the next 2 minutes or so, because you're going to hear him contradict himself completely.
And that's just not what it is. We understand that, that we have to protect our streets, but we also understand the same people protecting our streets have to serve our streets, right? And that means that they have to know the communities that they're policing in. They have to have a relationship with the community, that they have to be able to understand that the current tactics and training in which they've been operating in for decades is not working in the year of 2020.
Spoken by a guy who I'm pretty sure has zero law enforcement knowledge, zero law enforcement background.
It hasn't worked for a very long time, which is why we've had so many lives lost at the hands of police brutality in the city.
Right. Do you think that the police officers today should be retrained and reprogrammed on the way they think and the way they handle situations when they pull people over, when they're addressing people of color?
I think the whole system needs to be completely dismantled from top to bottom.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? I'll play it one more time.
I think the whole system needs to be completely dismantled from top to bottom. And if that means officers need to go, then officers need to go. And we need to bring in a new type of police that's going to be a reflection of the needs of the community. And the reality is, someone said to me the other day, an attorney who works on, defending folks that have been involved in defending officers that have been involved in police brutality, said to me that, well, they've been programmed and conditioned for years. How are you going to reprogram their mind? If they're not ready to be reprogrammed, then they need to find another job.
I see that.
Now, this frustrates me so much because the reality is that cops are forced to adapt probably more than any other job in this country. Every time you turn around, there's a new law and there's a new policy, and cops have to consistently change the way they do things. It happens all the time. But again, the average citizen is completely unaware of that. And it's even worse when you have these wannabe elected officials or these elected officials who are the ones who are enforcing these changes, these radical changes, and they end up paying the price. But my man, I'm hoping that what happened to him wakes him up and that he realizes the foolishness of the whole defund the police movement. But I'd love to hear what y'all think. What do you think about my man? Do you think it's going to change him in any way? You think he's going to learn from it? You think he's going to back off the defund the police movement? Or you think he's still stuck in his ways and there's basically nothing that'll change him, except if the Lord changes his mind? What do y'all think? Comment down below. I'd definitely appreciate it. In the meantime, stay safe, God bless, and make sure you join the conversation.